Hey guys, so today we're back with another Jubilee reacting to another Jubilee video. They do a lot of good content, and so we're gonna react to this one and talk about it. Please check out their channel because they do make really good content. Yeah, they're kind of like a better version of BuzzFeed. Make of that what you will. Just my quick opinion. All right, let's get started.
I don't believe in the Bible God because he's an a-hole. But I believe that in the universe somewhere, even though there's a lot of evidence that there's nothing out there, there could be another dimension. We don't know.
We don't know. No, we do not.
I am open to some supernatural and spiritual ideas.
Let's see where I would be. Agree? Somewhat agree?
We've probably all had the experience of some older person saying, oh, well, when you're on your deathbed, I'm sure you'll believe, you'll want Jesus or something. And no, like I'm happy, I'm content, I'm excited about my beliefs.
And why Jesus specifically?
Open to ideas that can fit within a reasonable framework, but no spiritual or supernatural idea has ever fit that standard.
Like, I'm open to, that's why I'm in that weird category of agnostic atheism. Like, a lot of people are like, what's that? How can you be an agnostic and an atheist? That's weird. You're contradicting yourself.
Okay, so there is a quadrant that maybe I'll put here, and maybe add it to the description that explains atheism, theism, agnosticism, and Gnosticism. And you can be a agnostic theist and a Gnostic theist. You can also be a Gnostic atheist, and of course an agnostic atheist. Anyway.
But I'm open to it. I don't believe in the Bible God because he's an a-hole. But I believe that in the universe somewhere, even though there's a lot of evidence that there's nothing out there, there could be another dimension. There could be like black.
Did you say there's a lot of evidence that there's nothing out there?
In the universe somewhere, even though there's a lot of evidence that there's nothing out there,
You can't really say that there's a lot of evidence that there's nothing out there. You could just say that there's a lack of evidence for whatever people may think is out there.
could be another dimension. There could be like black holes, like Interstellar could go somewhere.
Right, yeah.
We don't know.
For me, I'm open to Wiccanism and paganism, It's a fun little thing to do, see what happens.
I think you can be atheist and spiritual too. You can have different beliefs. I've had some crazy Ouija board experiences. I believe in something else. I don't believe in someone else. I believe as above, so below. I think everything is very connected, and I believe that I should behave in a way that I would want acted towards back to me. And I think that's a very spiritual idea, that the energy is recycled and that our actions invite actions.
Pray.
Wait, where am I? Praying is a waste of time. Somewhat agree. If it makes you feel better, then it's not a waste of time. Do I think that praying directly does anything? Not really. But if it makes people feel better, then it's not technically a waste of time. Oh, wait, hold on. Do I agree or disagree? Waste of time. Oh, somewhat disagree, maybe? Somewhat disagree? Yeah, so maybe he has the same answers I do.
Prayer is, people argue very often to me that prayer brings a lot of comfort and has meaning to them. Why it has to be that over all of the other options you can do, I don't know. And when considering that in a lot of cases, you're choosing to step back, you're choosing to remove your response.
Oh wait, so would I be somewhat agree? Somewhat disagree, somewhat agree. Yeah.
Responsibility from any situation Yeah, I have issues with that.
Nothing aggravates me more too.
Yeah, if there's a better alternative, that if you focus all that energy instead of on praying and instead using that energy on, if there was a tragedy, focusing that energy on coming up with ideas, preventative measures, putting all that energy into that would be a better use of time, I think.
Aggravates me more too, especially in like our current political climate, and when a group of people is gunned down and a Republican politician tweets out sending thoughts and prayers, but at the same time I'm on the somewhat disagree side, because I personally think praying will not accomplish anything. But I think that what someone has to do to put positive energy out into their life and start their day, and I know that my parents pray for me every night, and it makes me happy that I think like they're sending out positive thoughts.
I grew up religious. 3, 2.
I don't know if I should share, but my dad is without religion. My mom is typical Taiwanese. In Taiwan, they're half Buddhist, half Taoist. And they mix it up. So some people have some beliefs from Taoism and some from Buddhism at the same time. So that's pretty much what my mom is. But me, I actually did grow up going to a church. I couldn't tell you what it was. All I know is that it has the word United in it, so I couldn't tell you if it was Catholic, Christian, Protestant. And the reason why I went to that was because my babysitter went to that church and my parents needed somebody to look after me during the weekend, so I would just go. And yeah.
I was born into Catholicism. I was born into a Catholic family. I think the majority of religion is indoctrination of children. It's just by happenstance of where you're born, what religion you're born into, and who your parents happen to be.
I grew up in a very quintessential like, Jewish household, but I did go on birthright when I was 18, and I think that was a big factor in my...
For young adults of Jewish heritage, sponsored by a nonprofit educational heritage trip.
Atheism, because while I was on that trip, I asked a lot of questions, which I think you're supposed to do to get out of it, and all I could think about was how if I was a couple miles over, I might be praying to Allah instead of Hashem. I couldn't find a difference in my God versus another God, or justification for why my God was more likely of existing than another God.
For me, growing up Mormon, it was just really oppressive. It was basically your life and your whole identity. And everyone that you even had to just hang out with or just be around was Mormon. You don't have a choice, basically. It's been a struggle for me. I left when I was 18 years old. I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly, because I do not like to believe in a lie. Mormonism is a lie, and it's a fraud.
Yeah, I think we're very close on like the same spectrum, but I grew up born and raised as a Jehovah's Witness, believing that Jehovah was God, believing that, Armageddon was going to come, and if you weren't a Jehovah's Witness and we didn't convert everyone else to Jehovah's Witnesses, they were going to die. I believe this way: no holidays, no birthdays, no Christmas, no blood transfusions. Like thousands of people have died from some of these beliefs for no reason. I know many people have died, and they shouldn't have. This was for no reason. But I'm glad that I'm out, because it's really scary, but super religious. And once I was out, it was like a relief on my shoulders, because part of me when I got this fellowship was like, oh shit, my life is ending. You lose your family, you lose your support system, everyone kicks you out, you're dead. It was nice to believe that we were scammed and we were lied to and we deserve better.
Yeah.
The world would be better off without religion.
Where am I? In many ways, yes. I'm just thinking about the question as a whole and just taking the question as it is. Would the world be a better place if it had never existed? I don't know, like this is the world that we live in. We don't know what would have happened in an alternate scenario. We can, speculate. But I do think that it is the better direction to move toward. Let's say that. So, agree, or strongly agree.
Go ahead. I don't know.
I mean, all anyone has to do is just research, just look, just read, just go out there and see the harms that religion not inherently does, but that it can and therefore does. Any major issue you can take in the U.S., and somehow religion will find a way to be behind that.
The reason why I'm sitting here, despite being hurt by religion in the past, is that I feel like religion brings a lot of good to like the world in general. Like the pros outweigh the cons in my view. If there are people out there who feel like they need an instruction manual to be a good person, I think they should have it.
The more I've thought about it,
Sure, but that's definitely not the only way. There are better ways. Which is why I kind of struggled with it. Yeah. For some people, it's kind of the easiest way to connect with your morals, so to speak. So for those people, yeah, we need some way to deal with those people. So
I've kind of looked at maybe large institutions, power structures, dogmatic beliefs are maybe more the real problem than the really broad, big, unwieldy definition of religion. The community I run is called Atheists United. Most people in my community would love to destroy religion in the world and think the world will suddenly be better, but I see a bunch of atheists then that are struggling with the same exact problems, that still have the same prejudices, deal with the same stereotypes, and we just changed the label.
Okay, is the question, would the world be a better place? I think it would be, just thinking about it again. It wouldn't be perfect, but it would be better, in my opinion, for people to, not believe in things based on faith and just wait for the evidence. That doesn't solve everything off the bat, but it would be in the direction of better, is my opinion.
I do agree that there is community that's brought by religion, but wherever there is community, there is someone outside of that community. There are people not accepted into that community. There's ostracism. But I think in a world where there is either no religion or multitude of religions, there's always going to be like division in that multitude. And I just don't know if the ostracism and the pain is worth the hope that the community will override that.
Just to push back a little bit, given that we are tribal animals, right? We do get together, if it's not going to be religions, which I'm fine with, then it's maybe your soccer team or your chess club or your sorority. And my biggest concern and why I work in this community is I don't know if you want to raise your children necessarily there, or if you feel like they share your values enough to help you if you're in the hospital, or they're the people you can turn to if you're on your deathbed.
But just to push back a little bit too, I think that there is an issue if you think that the only group of solace that you can find for deep existential or physical problems is your religious group. If they're the only people that you can turn to for help, then that's a problem, because then you feel trapped inside of them. You can't escape that kind of group.
Yeah, like you can only get this sort of comfort and guidance if you believe in 1 to 10. So, yeah.
And you touched on that a lot. Absolutely. Having different groups with different opinions instead of one group that has one fundamental idea and sense of morality. So you need a group that can check that morality.
Yeah.
I wish I believed in higher power.
Do I wish I believed in a higher power? And is higher power a loosely defined term? Like, what do you mean specifically? I don't know. I would have to take some time to think about this, because for one, yeah, I think it's pretty much undisputed that we don't choose our beliefs. We don't choose whether or not we buy into something. We don't choose whether or not we believe in certain things. We either do or we don't. So I guess the question here is, would I benefit in any way by believing in quote unquote a higher power, whether or not it is reasonable to? Would it make me feel better just by believing? I mean, who would want to believe in something? Who would want themselves to believe in something coming from a position where they don't believe in that something? But why would somebody like that, why would somebody who doesn't believe in that something want to believe in it, knowing that you have reasonable questions about it, if that makes sense? So at this moment in time, things change, but I think I would say disagree. So, jeez. Yeah, so I'd be curious to see what their reasons for wanting to believe. Like, does it make them feel better? Does it bring them comfort too?
I don't think it would make my life easier. I would have all the same questions I have and have worse answers.
I think it'd be very comforting to believe in a higher power, to believe that no matter what happens, you'll be okay. I think I'll be a much happier person, but I'm also very proud of what I have accomplished on my own. I know everything I have achieved is through my own effort.
Last year, someone that I used to be very close with died of an opioid addiction, and it like rattled my world because I'd never really been faced with the idea that like you always know like you're gonna die one day and people die and it happens, but it was like this like visceral reaction that we are so mortal and we are so powerless, and it really messed me up. And sometimes I still like wake up at night and I'm like, I have to drink a lot of water and relax. I'm so terrified of the idea of not existing anymore. It's not the idea of dying, it's just the idea of nothing.
I really wanted to hear everybody else's answer on that one, but oh well. What she said about the fear of not existing. And, you know, people have said this before. It's the same feeling as before you were born. So think about what it was like for you, what it felt like for you, what you felt when you sensed before you were born. Nothing. You didn't feel anything, but while you're alive, you feel like that is a loss of something. You feel like that is a subtraction of something. But when you cease to exist, you don't have that feeling. So
I'd be upset if my children lose.
I would be upset if I'm children. I wouldn't be upset. I mean, you know, it's understandable for people to want to believe in that. I did as a kid. I think it would be kind of weak of me if I were to be upset. Obviously, I would, you know, civilly ask them questions. But yeah, let's see what they say.
I can't be a hypocrite and say I would do the exact same thing I know religion and the religious have done to me and others, hearing all of you, and say, you're disowned, you're no longer welcome in my home. You are no longer a part of my life. I can't do that, and so therefore I'm going to change.
Your own relationship with God is very personal. So who am I to say who you should believe in or what you should believe in? As long as you're not hurting anybody or yourself, whatever's in your heart, just do it as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Would I be upset if my child believed in a God? A little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be like, damn, I didn't do a good job. But I agree with a lot of your guys' points. Like, as long as you're not hurting people, as long as you're like pursuing your happiness, be yourself, be happy, whatever that looks like.
I also think my problem with a religious person has never been their religion. It has been like things that they have used that religion to justify
Your
or
interpretation of it.
yeah, or actions or behavior.
I actually would have a problem with the religion itself if it's just bad doctrine, but I understand what you're saying.
Behaviors in name of their God, you know. So if my child chooses to believe in God and they don't use that to justify harm or malice, then that's fine.
Yeah, and one person I really look up to who is kind of Christ-like is Mr. Rogers. He's always been gentle and nice, you know? And he believes.
But is that exclusively Christ-like? Are there other, you know, examples? Or I guess I have a problem with any religion claiming exclusivity with certain morals. I guess that's what I would have an issue with.
In God, who am I to say, hey, Mr. Rogers, you need to stop?
Yeah, you guys all want to do lunch?
I really enjoyed that discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really interesting to hear that some of these atheists are still open to spiritual ideas.
Definitely.
All right, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if I will make a separate video about, you know, me and my religious or a religious journey. Let me know if you want to see that. But yeah, like I mentioned before, I was kind of brought along to church because my babysitter went to church, and my babysitter was related to my babysitter was my aunt's, or my babysitter was my piano teacher's aunt. And so my piano teacher on, you know, other occasions would bring me to church as well for, you know, things that had to do with music and church. And so I was brought along then too. I stopped going, I think, around when I was 8 or 9, I think. And so, you know, keep in mind, it was never, you know, my choice to go to church. But as a kid, I was, you know what, I think I'll actually make, if you guys are interested, a video about my religious journey. So yeah, I think I'll leave that video there. Yeah, let me know where you guys come from. Let me know what you think about the questions asked, where you would stand along that spectrum. You know, are you religious? Are you a-religious? Are you agnostic? Are you agnostic? Are you Gnostic about your beliefs? And yeah, let's have an interesting discussion. Keep it civil, guys, even though this is a touchy subject. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.